That little suit's gonna get all full of blood. Mine or yours?
Fresh off the exciting news that Matt Reeves The Batman is campaigning for an Oscar in over 15 categories, including Best Picture, as well as the sad news that the sequel to the 2022 flick likely won't be seeing theaters until 2025 at the earliest, I thought this would be a good time to share all my thoughts on The Batman. Also, real quick, if you guys are curious about Matt Reeves' Batman universe and all the projects currently in development, I've just released an all you need to know video regarding the Matt Reeves Batverse, including the GCPD show, the Scarecrow project, and so much more. Now let's get into the video. Prior to the film's release, I hadn't been this excited for a movie since 2012's The Dark Knight Rises. Sure, maybe I'm just a huge Batman fan, but I like to think that it's because of the master filmmakers behind each of these projects. Both Christopher Nolan and Matt Reeves are true auteurs of cinema, and with the creative freedom the studio gives each one of these directors, I know the chance of getting something special and unique is very likely. And that is exactly what we got with 2022's The Batman. A dark noir crime drama that takes its time telling its story. I know a lot of people think too much time, but I thoroughly enjoy the slower burn detective tale told through the lens of the most damaged Batman we've ever seen on film. Robert Pattinson is sensational in the role, acting so much through just his eyes behind the cowl, and demanding your attention as you feel the presence of Batman throughout the entirety of the film's runtime. As for Pattinson's take on Bruce Wayne, I think I need to see more before I can truly form a strong opinion. I certainly didn't dislike his portrayal. In fact, I love that he was socially a bit awkward and definitely feels broken inside, and that vengeance truly is fueling him. You would definitely expect someone who dresses up as a bat at night to fight crime to be a little bit of an odd character, and he most certainly was. And even though we see how much he truly cares about Alfred during the hospital scene later in the film, I did find it a little off-putting how quick Bruce was to shut down Alfred and argue with him at any given chance. Especially considering the work Alfred was performing to not only help Batman decipher the Riddler's clues, but also help Bruce maintain his image and reputation within Gotham. Another element of Bruce that I really enjoyed was the fact that he's the first live-action Batman that's black eye makeup doesn't disappear when he removes the cowl. It's a great attention to detail. The Fincher-esque tone is set immediately as the opening scene features the Riddler brutally murdering the mayor of Gotham. It was during this scene that I knew we were in for the dark and ominous movie that the trailers had promised. The next scene in the film has Batman investigating the crime scene of the mayor to the disgust of the other GCPD officers. In this scene, we see the brilliant detective that Batman is. He recognizes the
Ecchymosis
from the hand of the mayor, as well as solves the riddle left behind in the horrifying letter.
lies still.
I think this is my favorite scene in the entire film. They just got the tone so perfect.
Card. Yeah.
It's Seven starring Batman. Does it get any better? As the scene progresses, we see Batman's dominance as he stares down the GCPD. We see his brilliance as a detective. We see his emotional side as he takes a long look at the mayor's son, as he himself knows exactly how the son is feeling through all of this. And also the cinematography and bleak feeling of the setting, mixed with the ominous orange glow of the lamps, it's perfect for grimy Gotham City. Not to mention we get this amazing line.
Happy Halloween.
From here, we get to hear the narration from Batman, as nights begin to bleed into each other, and journaling helps him keep his days straight. This is an awesome element of the movie, and when combined with the Nirvana that begins to play, it further cemented that Matt Reeves got to make the Batman film that he wanted to make. The film continues the investigation into Riddler's crimes, deciphering Zodiac-esque messages and broadcasting the murder of Pete Savage, which was straight out of a Saw film. Again, I just love how dark and gritty Matt went with this Batman film, and it is exactly what I was hoping for in regards to tone and vibe. Through the investigation, Batman is introduced to Selina Kyle, as she has information regarding Annika. Both Batman and Selina have different motives, but are forced to work together as all the subplots begin to intertwine and the stakes start to become very clear. We're introduced to Oz at the Iceberg Lounge, as he hasn't become the fully fledged crime boss of the Penguin just yet. We'll get to see that story in HBO's upcoming Penguin series. I know it has been said a million times, but Colin Farrell's unrecognizable here, and does an amazing job as the Penguin. And this may be an unpopular opinion, but I did think his character was straddling the line of almost feeling too cartoony for the grounded film that was going on around him. Overall, I loved his character, and the nuance of Oz actually being very insecure and needing validation from others. I just thought he got close to crossing that line at points. And while on the topic of Penguin, that car chase is one of the best I've ever seen put to film. The relentless downpour of rain, the booming score that strategically thunders when the Batmobile is gaining on the Penguin, and the way the cameras are mounted to the cars for 90% of the chase, the convenience how the trailers lined up as a giant ramp amidst all the wreckage. But hey, it made for an unbelievable jump out of your seat moment, so I'll give it a pass on that one. two other scenes that Matt masterfully crafted nail-biting tension were when Selena is utilizing the transmitting contacts as she investigates within the Iceberg Lounge's secret area, the 42 below, as well as the funeral scene in which a FaceTime call has never been so intense, as the Riddler is spewing out puzzles to be solved and the timer on the bomb continues to count down. I was riveted in my seat. And I love that it shows how Batman can't always save everyone, as the bomb finally does explode, killing the district attorney, which now means they have to hire a new one, am I right? I loved all the actors' portrayals of their respective characters. I loved the dynamic between Batman and Jeffrey Wright's Gordon. I thought Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz had great chemistry. I thought Paul Dano was great at playing a complete psychopath in Edward Nashton. At some points, his portrayal was so bizarre, I wasn't sure if I should be laughing or be terrified, which is horrifically realistic in the sense that these sociopaths really do exist. John Turturro was great as Carmine Falcone, whose daughter Sophia Falcone will face off against Penguin for control of the city in the upcoming Penguin series. I thought Andy Serkis was great as Alfred, and I enjoyed what we saw from Barry Keoghan's Joker, although I did think the scene felt a little forced into the film and ruined the flow of the movie a bit. And I know a lot of hardcore comic book fans dislike the whole Thomas Wayne not being a perfect human, the whole Wayne's having some dirty laundry aspect to the film, but I quite enjoyed it. It added a unique twist, allowed for deeper emotional connection to Bruce, and added a personal element to the scheme the Riddler was executing. It also added to the realism in the sense that oftentimes super elites and billionaires aren't the greatest people, and often stories break regarding this. However, I will say that the execution of this story element is very rushed in the film. The scene directly after Falcone tells Bruce the lie about his parents, Alfred sets the record straight, and thus we as an audience, or Bruce as a character, didn't have to sit on this misinformation for very long, which could have added some unique story elements. I loved the horrifying tour through the abandoned orphanage and the commentary on real-world political issues through the Gotham Renewal Fund being a fraud. I loved the great action sequence with Bruce in his drifter form cutting the power to the Iceberg Lounge and eventually bringing the rat into the light. Mr. Bombastic! And I still just couldn't believe how dark, grungy, and immersive this film was. So picture this. I'm in the theater, in which I drove 3 hours from my remote town in northern Canada for opening night. Falcone, identified as the Rat, gets brought into the light after a great action sequence. And I still couldn't believe I was actually watching this Godfather meets Seven noir-style thriller starring Batman. I cannot believe my eyes! It's so grounded and dark and everything I wanted from a Batman film. But then the third act begins, which is almost more of a fourth act when you really break down the structure of the film. Anyways, you guys know the scene I'm talking about. When the flood starts to wipe through the city and there's conveniently this one building that everyone must pile into, this whole scene took me out of the film at times. Let's go through it. So it starts after the great interrogation scene in which tricks the audience and Bruce into thinking Riddler knows his identity for the first bit. But it's in this scene that we learn Riddler has more plans that are being carried out, despite being locked up in Arkham. Awesome. Kind of a Silence of the Lambs idea here. However, it's the execution of this final plan that didn't quite work for me. So the Riddler's plan was to flood the city so that every important political leader and town official would pile into one building, while hoping that his crazy 4chan followers would actually show up and follow out his plan. Which I can actually buy this idea, as the power of influence is stronger than ever these days, and there's crazy people out there. However, the fact that a massive tsunami of a flood has to come crashing through the city while conveniently sending all town officials into one location screams of the movie studio or Matt himself thinking the film needed a massive third act CGI extravaganza. Furthermore, the scene has Batman entering the building by shattering the giant window from above, which sure, it looks amazing, but all that glass would be stabbing into all of the innocent citizens below.
That is a very, very bad idea.
And then the scene features one of my biggest pet peeves in movies, when the bad guy has all day to shoot his shot and kill the hero, but holds for dramatic effect and often to say something cheesy, thus giving the hero enough time to avoid death and ultimately save the day. This scene has this classic trope to the nth degree, which feels so out of place in what was such a gritty and grounded story. And the fact that the guns don't really affect Batman, except sometimes they do, it was kind of confusing. And then just this right here, I don't know. Like what? The scene then proceeds to have Batman jumping from electrical wires and hanging from the Jumbotron, which just felt so out of place in this slow burn Fincher-style detective story. The CGI looked a bit off, and having Batman get electrocuted, which yes, I know was set up during Batman's first appearance in the subway, all just felt like it came out of nowhere in what was originally a realistic crime drama. It also all felt very rushed from the time we learned of Riddler's master plan to how quickly Batman saves the day. What seemed like such a massive event turns into everything being under control in a matter of 10 minutes. And another terrible cliche movie trope again right here. Like there's a time and a place. Everyone's still under them drowning. There's glass shards probably in a million people. Who knows if more bombs are about to go off? Batman's half dead. However, everything after Batman lights up the flare and becomes a symbol of hope for Gotham is beautifully done. The narration begins again and the film sums up wonderfully. And I really enjoy the extended bike scene to end the film where we feel the inner struggle of Batman deciding whether to chase after Selina or stay in the city that he now feels has hope after all. I feel like this scene is a return to the unique detective tale Reeves was crafting, rather than the cliche special effects chaos of a standard comic book movie, in which I find the third act to be. In summary, The Batman remains one of the best films of the year, and most certainly the best comic book film in my opinion. I love this film and consider 90% of it a masterpiece. I don't love the final action sequence, but the rest of the movie far outweighs this third act stumble. I could watch the slow burn investigation conducted by Batman within the beautiful cinematography of Gotham all day. I really hope Matt Reeves doesn't think he has to go bigger and bolder, with more CGI action for the sequel to the film. Judging by his previous work and the fact that War for the Planet of the Apes doesn't really have a giant third act action sequence, and sticks to being more of a character study on Caesar, I think we're in good hands, and in Matt Reeves I trust. Alright guys, I would truly love to hear from all of you in the comments below. What did you think of the film now that we've had some time to sit on it for a while? Let me know all of your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world if you would consider subscribing, dropping a like, and turning on post notifications, as I really enjoy discussing movies, TV series, and all the recent news with all you guys. Catch you on the next one.
She call me Mr. Bombastic, tell me fantastic, touch me on me back, she says I'm Mr.